All right, today we got Ellie on dating big three.
A while ago, I feel like I saw Tariami saying something about like a big three. So when you're dating someone or you're talking to someone or whatever, like you have this list of three things. And ideally, in a perfect world, the person that you're talking to, they hit all three. But if they don't hit three, they have to hit two. Otherwise, like it's a waste of your time. So I was really thinking to myself, what is my big three? And I've come up with it and I think it's good. So I'm going to share.
I just want to point out real quick before we even get started to be very careful with these types of videos because girls, most of the time, do not know what they actually want. A lot of times, there's a very strict dissociation from the logical part of themselves and the emotional part. When the emotional instinct becomes too strong, they start making all of these logical concessions to justify why they're making the decision instead of going back to the logic and saying, oh, well, that doesn't fit my logical criteria. Why is that the case? Normally, I really, really want this, but here, I want all of the opposite things. They, by and large, do not do this process. My point here, of course, is to take videos like this where girls talk about what they want with a grain of salt. I could extend this even further to pretty much all people, if I'm being honest, men too. The world has become so feminized now, men included, that men really also do not know what they want most of the time. They'll say one thing and do the opposite. So in the end, most people are completely unaware of what they genuinely want, and they end up coping most of the time because the emotions are easier to cope with than actually dealing with the hard reality. Now with that disclaimer done, let's see if there's any actual validity to this.
First things first, small social media presence. As a man, you don't really need to be posting on Instagram like that. I can't think of a reason why you would need to.
Yes, of course, small social media presence, yet the guys with the biggest social media presences, the guys that are doing the real shit, the guys that are the most famous, how come they have endless options, more options than most guys by far? What she's saying cannot be true on an average scale. She can sit there on social media and claim that it doesn't apply to her, but then we just get caught up in the whole I'm special, I'm different than the rest garbage. But let's give her benefit of the doubt. Maybe she is that one special girl that is telling the truth and actually knows what she wants.
Private Instagram account for sure, obviously. Private Instagram account, no doubt about it. In terms of followers, let's call it like 300 to Okay, and my dog's barking, so it's like I'm getting overstimulated, but I'm gonna reel it back in. Okay, yeah. Let's call it 300 to 500 followers because I don't want you to be like a total weirdo. Like, I want you to have like friends, but you don't.
I want you to have experience, but not too much experience. A body count of 20 is too much, but a body count of 10 is just right. My body count is 9. It's all arbitrary, hyper subjective. It doesn't really offer any insights unless, of course, you let me translate it for you and then you actually interpret something of value. Of course, there's always going to be a niche of people out there defending to death exactly what she's saying, but who cares? 90% of the world lives in some subjective fantasy, anyways. Who cares what they have to say?
Need to be like, making your way around the world. Okay. In terms of posts, if you have to have a post, I prefer none. If you let's call it 2 Instagram posts max, and don't you dare let it be a solo picture. Like at least like you're posing with your friends, and don't you dare to God let it be a mirror selfie. Okay, so that's that. Okay.
That one kind of makes sense. Let's be honest. Whenever a guy goes in front of a mirror and takes a mirror selfie and posts it on social media, it comes off extremely feminine. Even naked body pictures fall into this category. But if the guy's a bodybuilder and he's actually gone to competition and gone down that path, he gets a little bit of a pass because he's so hardcore about it that maybe we can start to look at it as a little bit masculine. The other point here is exactly what I talk about all the time when it comes to social media pages for you as guys. Professional quality pictures have up to 5. She said 0. That's a lie. She said 2. She's probably stretching it a bit. She would probably be totally okay with 3 to 5. So 3 to 5 quality pictures, like I always talk about, is a very good idea. You want to include at least a couple pictures with you with friends if possible.
One, you have to be sarcastic just because I'm sarcastic. So if you aren't, I don't really see how it's going to work. I had an ex-boyfriend of mine once say that I'm the most sarcastic person he's ever met. So it's just important in terms of like compatibility and everything. Okay, next one.
This girl has no idea what she wants. You can just tell. I mean, I appreciate her turning on the camera and saying her opinion because everyone can say their opinion online as part of freedom of speech, right? But you can just tell she's just there. She likes the idea of herself being on camera, just saying whatever she wants to say in that moment. If you were to blank out her memory of this video and let her re-record this in 2 months, she'd probably say a bunch of different things. But whatever.
You can't vape. It's just, as a man, why do you have that in your hand? Like,
100% true. Vaping is obviously extremely unattractive. I know a lot of you guys do it. You really shouldn't if you want to go for the elite level girls. And when I say elite level, I'm talking 8s and up. Now, obviously, if you're hyper abundant, hyper good at everything, and that's your mini vice, you vape once in a while, it won't be end of the world. But obviously, in an idealistic world, you want to kick all of the habits that can seem self-destructive in nature. Unless, of course, that self-destructive behavior is you riding a motorcycle. In that case, I guess it's acceptable because you're only self-destructive if you crash. But if you don't crash, you're unaffected.
I cannot, you know what, if you want, I don't know, like, at least pick up a fucking cigarette, be a man, something, like, put down the Malibu, mango, pineapple, unicorn, whatever, put it down.
You can see how much of these standards are so bandwagon based. Cigarettes were this giant propaganda that were pushed in the last 150 years. And because they were pushed as a masculine thing to do in all of the masculine movies way back in the day, it's still to this day perceived as a masculine activity. To be fair, there is some basis for it. A lot of masculine guys like nicotine because it definitely helps focus you in. So it's not like it's completely off base, but a lot of it is a propaganda thing. The point I'm trying to make here is that most of it is purely just based off of the imagery of it. If you're going to destroy yourself, at least destroy yourself in a way that looks cool and masculine. Not with this stupid little device where you press a button and you suck some fruit-based flavor out of it. Of course, it's not as bad as cigarettes, right?
This is so embarrassing. You're so embarrassing. It's the new Selena Gomez song. Okay, yeah. So that's just a personal one for
Cringe.
me. Also, I'm like, no smoking at all would be preferable. But just in terms of the big three, I'm going to have to go like
If you're really hot, I'm totally okay with you smoking. That's the translation.
no vaping. I'm trying to think of a man that I know personally that vapes that I also like as a person. I'm trying to think. And no one comes to mind. I can't think of a single person. So yeah, those are my big three. I also have like my little honorable mentions, but you know, they weren't enough to make it to the big three.
How much you want to bet that one of her ex-boyfriends vaped?
So that's mine.
I guess I'll close off this video by saying something super generic. Don't trust the fish, trust the fisherman. Or in this case, the fisherman's translation of what the fish is saying. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Don't forget to check my links in the description below.